everyone, and good morning to those who are joining in from Japan. So welcome to US-Japan Business Strategies, a Japanese company's approach to the global and US market. So today we have an amazing program for you. My name is Nozomi Morgan. I am the CEO and founder of Michiki Morgan Worldwide, and also the program co-chair for the Japan-America Society of Georgia. So today's program is delivered to you by four amazing organizers and sponsors who I'd love to share our gratitude with. First of all, Mitsubishi Electric, thank you so much. And also Keizai Koho Center, the National Association of Japan-America Societies. And last but not least, Georgia Tech Center for International Business Education and Research. So thank you all for joining us today. We have distinguished guests. And also we have a lot of people joining in from Japan and joining in here from the States. So before we get started, just to have a little fun here, for those who are able to, please put in the chat box where you're joining in from today. So there's on the bottom of your screen, there's a little bar and you'll see chat. If it's in Japanese, it'll say chatto. And if you can enter in where you're joining in from, that would be wonderful. I see California, I see Tokyo, I see more California, Georgia, Michigan, Atlanta, wonderful. So today it's very in DC, thank you, Atlanta. So keep that coming. We love to see where you're all joining in from. We have not only people joining in from home and from your offices, we actually have two watch parties going on. One here in Atlanta at the Mitsubishi Electric Train HVAC US office here in Atlanta. Oh, there you go. Everyone wave. Who's in the watch party? Please wave. Yes, thank you. Wave. Wonderful. And then we have another one in LA. So Chris, if you can switch over to LA. We have another watch party in LA. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the history and relationship between US and Japan and Georgia. So Japan is not only Georgia's #1 foreign investor, but US's as well. So Georgia and Japan, and US and Japan has a very, very strong relationship. And in Georgia, there's 650 plus Japanese affiliated companies. And the total investment by Japanese companies into the state of Georgia's economy is over $11 billion. And Japanese companies employ over 1 million Americans in the United States. And for Georgia, the Japanese companies employ over 35,000 employees. And Japan is US's fourth largest trade partner. And the total trade equates to over $300 billion. So you can see very easily how the relationship is very strong and deep. So today we have two amazing speakers both from Japan, and we'll have a formal introduction coming up. But the first panelist is Mr. Yoji Saito, the Executive Officer and Group President of Global Strategic Planning and Marketing of Mitsubishi Electric Corporation. And the second speaker today is Remy Marne Watanabe, who is Associate Professor in the MBA program in International Business, Graduate School of Business Sciences at the University of Tsukuba, Tokyo campus. So very, very excited and we're very blessed to have these two joining all over from Tokyo. And the funniest part is that they're both in Tokyo, but they're in different locations. So yes. So before we have the two come up and share their brilliance, we would like to introduce two of our sponsors and organizers. The first is Mr. Atsushi Yamakoshi, the Managing Director of Keizai Koho Center. So Yamakoshi-san, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nozomi-san, for your kind introduction. I'm Atsushi Yamakoshi, Managing Director of Keizai Koho Center in Tokyo. First, I would like to thank Yoshi Domoto and his colleagues at Japan-America Society at Georgia for arranging this event. I also thank Peter Kelly of NAJAS for his help as always. I would like to express a special thanks to Mr. Yoji Saito and his team at Mitsubishi Electric and Professor Remi Manuel Watanabe of Tsukuba University for making presentations today. I also thank Georgia Tech for their cooperation to make this event possible. Keizai Koho Center was established in 1978 by Keidanren Japan Business Federation to facilitate public affairs of Japanese businesses and member companies. Business Speaker Series is one of our major activities started 2012, but actually we carried out similar activities named Japan Speaker Caravan for before 2012, when I worked in Washington, D.C. as Keidanren representative. Therefore, I myself had the pleasure to visit Atlanta several times and always enjoyed your southern hospitality. Keidanren has always emphasized the importance of Japanese investments in the United States. As a public affairs body, Keizai Koho Center has facilitated mutual understanding between Japanese investors and their host communities through various events, including today's one. Mitsubishi Electric is a very famous company in Japan and maybe in the United States too, but I believe you will understand further by Mr. Saito's well-prepared presentation. I'm also looking forward to listening to Professor Remi Manuel Watanabe's presentation and discussion on Japanese investment in the United States. I hope and I'm sure you will enjoy this event. Thank you very much. So next, I would like to introduce Peter Kelly of NAJAS. He's a very good friend and very great program partner. They helped us very much. Thank you very much. So Peter, please.
Thank you, Yamakoshi-san. I'm Peter Kelly of the National Association of Japan-America Societies. There are 38 Japan-America Societies all around the United States. They're all they're private organizations, locally managed and funded, which help to develop the relationship between the US and Japan at the local level. The oldest was founded in Boston in 1904, and our most recent member is from South Carolina, your neighboring state in Georgia, from 2018. The function of the National Association of Japan-America Societies is to provide our member Japan-America Societies with high-quality Japan-related programming opportunities. So we offer series to our members in public affairs, geostrategy, business, culture. And all of you are members of the Japan-America Society of Georgia will have participated in programs organized by the Japan-America Societies as part of NAJAS's offerings. The program tonight is part of the Business Speaker Series, the NAJAS KKC Business Speaker Series. As my good friend Yamakoshi-san says, we developed this in partnership with the Keizai Koho Center in 2012. We wanted to help to tell the story of Japanese companies' investments in the United States. And as part of that series, each year we select 5 companies. We ask a senior executive from the
I think you're muted, Peter.
Sorry, I must have muted myself. As part of the series, we asked the senior manager of a Japanese company to describe their investment in the United States, their business strategy, and how that investment relates to the business strategy. We also invite an outside expert. Tonight's is Dr. Remi Manuel Watanabe, so that you can get a broad view of the influence of Japanese investment in the United States. In recent years, many of the Business Speaker Series programs have involved strategic acquisitions by Japanese companies, how the companies decided to partner with American companies, and the impact of those partnerships, which is a very important part now of the US-Japan relationship. We're very grateful to the participating companies, to Mitsubishi Electric, as Yamakoshi-san mentioned. I also want to show our gratitude to the staff of the Keizai Koho Center, Kazunori Yasui, Ikuyo Watanabe, Akemi Honda, who have been so important in the development of this series. Tonight's speaker is Yoji Saito. He has a very long title, so please write it down. He's Executive Officer and Group President of the Global Strategic Planning and Marketing Group of Mitsubishi Electric. He's a specialist in a topic which will appeal to everyone today, which is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. We're having a heat wave in the United States, so we're all particularly interested in the air conditioning portion of that. He's been involved in Mitsubishi Electric's HVAC business for 30 years and has a wide range of international business experience, having represented Mitsubishi Electric in Southeast Asia, Taiwan, and Singapore, as well as in Europe. We're delighted to have him, and our thanks go out again to Mitsubishi Electric for participating, to the Japan America Society of Georgia for organizing this event. We look forward to hearing from Mr. Saito. Mr. Saito, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter-san. Thank you, Yamakoshi-san. Thank you, Nozomi-san, everyone. Good evening to everyone in the US, and good morning to everyone in Japan. I'm Yoji Saito, Executive Officer of Mitsubishi Electric, in charge of Global Strategic Planning and Marketing. I would like to thank National Association of Japan America Societies, Japan America Society of Georgia, and Japan Institute for Social and Economic Affairs for arranging tonight's event and resuming the business speakers series under COVID-19 pandemic situation. I must say what a pleasure it is to speak here today. Unfortunately, I cannot visit Georgia for this great opportunity, but we have a live watch event with some guests at our air conditioning business headquarters in Georgia tonight. We also have Mitsubishi Electric members joining us online from Japan, Atlanta, and our US headquarters in California. Today, I will present the business overview of our company and activities in the US and in Georgia, of course, toward the realization of a sustainable society. So may I go on to the page 2? Mitsubishi Electric is one of the world's leading names in the manufacturing and sales of electrical and electronic products and systems used in a broad range of fields and applications. The company was founded in 1921, and we are proud to be celebrating our 100th anniversary this year. Led by President and CEO Takeshi Sugiyama, we are expanding business on a worldwide scale with more than 140,000 employees and annual revenue of $39.5 billion US. So next page 3. Through continuous technological innovation and ceaseless creativity, we develop technologies that contribute to the society and daily life around the world. As a leader in the manufacturing and sales of electric and electronic equipment, we offer a wide variety of products and solutions used in energy and electric system, industrial automation, information and communication system, electronic devices, and home appliances that include HVAC, heating and ventilation and air conditioning system, which is our main business in Georgia. Next up is page 4. We have a growing international network of research and development, production, sales, associated companies, and other operations throughout the world. As of March 2021, we have 109 consolidated subsidiaries globally. And next, page 5. Our corporate philosophy, revised this year in conjunction with our 100th year anniversary, is we, the Mitsubishi Electric Group, will contribute to the realization of a vibrant and sustainable society through continuous technological innovation and ceaseless creativity. We have defined this as the reason for the company's existence, and continuous technological innovation and ceaseless creativity are key factors that drive it. We also set 7 our values as trust, quality, technology, ethics and compliance, humanity, environment, and society. Finally, our commitment is changes for the better, which is also shown in our company logo. Each employee shares a strong will and passion to continuously aim for change, reinforcing our commitment to creating an even better tomorrow. So the page 6, this is our management policy. We would like to enhance our corporate value by emphasizing the creation of both economic and social value. Our focus on corporate management is to balance 3 key factors: growth, profitability and efficiency, and soundness. To realize sustainability through all of our activities, we set 5 materiality goals mentioned in the lower right. Today, let me show examples of how we provide solutions to social challenges through our business. So the page 7, this is our corporate strategy. In order to achieve a sustainable society, we must address many issues such as global warming and improvement of human health. To address diverse social challenges, we set 4 target fields, which are life, industry, infrastructure, and mobility, and provide integrated solutions by uniting all the capabilities inside and outside of the group. In doing so, we will enhance our business foundation fostered over the past 100 years and further transform business models. Next is page 8. We announced our Environment Sustainability Vision 2050 in June 2019, aiming to reduce greenhouse gas emissions throughout our value chain by 80% or more by 2050. But in consideration of the recent strong movement toward decarbonization, we revised the target to net zero in the entire value chain by 2050. To achieve our new target, we must strengthen our 4 initiatives. First, further reduction of CO2 emissions of electrical power by providing solutions to adopt more renewable energies. Second, reduction of emissions from our products by providing energy efficient and energy creating products and solutions. Third, reduction of production emissions at our factories by introducing energy efficient production lines and renewable energies. And the final one, promotion of power semiconductor devices which contribute to improved energy efficiency. By strengthening these initiatives, we aim to achieve net zero in the entire value chain by 2050. The next page 9, back to our strategy of how to achieve sustainable society through our business activities. Mitsubishi Electric has been working on solutions to address social challenges through its advanced technologies. For example, to hinder the spread of COVID-19, we provided integrated control system for air conditioners and ventilation equipment. We will continue to provide system solutions that help address social issues in the 4 target fields by uniting all the capabilities of the group. We will now move on to an overview of our presence in the Americas, including contributions to the US society. So I skip the page 10 and I will go to page 11. Now I would like to give you an overview of our North and Central American business. Across the region, we have 12 companies in the United States, 1 in Canada, and 4 in Mexico. Our core US business will be introduced in another slide, but one recent change to our US operation is that we acquired a company called Iconics in 2019 to reinforce our automation software capabilities. Aside from the US business, we have a company in Canada which sells HVAC products and companies in Mexico who manufacture elevators, escalators, transportation system, as well as automotive parts. In addition to our business entities, we have the Americas corporate office located in Cypress, California. It was established in 1999, has expanded its function as our business grows to provide various corporate services necessary to manage business in the affiliated companies. Next is page 12. Now moving on to South America region, there are 5 companies mainly engaged in the elevator and FA factory automation business. And then page 13. Moving to our core business in the United States, our US operation began in 1963 by establishing a representative office in Chicago. After we moved our business base to the West Coast, we gradually expanded our business to the central and the eastern part of the United States until we formed today's business structure. Under the Mitsubishi Electric US Holdings, we have 6 affiliated companies and 7 manufacturing engineering plants, along with the sales branches all over the country. We offer a diverse range of products such as building systems, air conditioners, semiconductors, automotive parts, factory automation, and power systems. In Georgia, our HVAC division, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, who has been operating in Suwannee for many years, formed a joint venture in 2018 called Mitsubishi Electric Trane HVAC US. Their activities will be introduced later in the presentation. Additionally, in Silicon Valley, we have the Mitsubishi Electric Innovation Center, which opened last year, engages in new business creation in collaboration with startup companies. And in Arlington, Virginia, we have a foundation which facilitates philanthropic activities in the US. I will introduce in the next couple of slides. The next page is 14. Our nonprofit philanthropic organization, Mitsubishi Electric America Foundation, was established in 1991, and this year marks its 30th anniversary. Foundation's mission is to help young people with disabilities maximize their potential and participate in society. Page 15, under the Mitsubishi Electric America Foundation's vision of opportunity to lead productive lives through increased employment, more than 50,000 youth have transitioned to jobs. Mitsubishi Electric America Foundation has also invested $20 million in innovative grant projects in the US, and over 100,000 volunteers hours have been donated since 1991 in order to create a vibrant and sustainable future for all. As you can see in the lower left of the slide, Mitsubishi Electric America Foundation was recognized by American Association of People as a catalyst for change. From next slide, I would like to introduce our business in Georgia. So I will skip 16, I will go to page 17. Mitsubishi Electric started its HVAC business in the US in 1980. In 1982, we introduced P-series system, which is for light commercial buildings. We brought inverter products in 2000 and introduced City Multi as the first variable refrigerant flow in the US market in 2003. The Mitsubishi Electric Engineering Center was established in 2012 to enhance developments to meet local needs. In 2013, we opened the HVAC factory in Mexico and relocated our new office and warehouse in Suwannee, Georgia, to expand the air conditioning business in North America through a locally integrated framework of development, production, and sales. In 2018, Mitsubishi Electric Trane HVAC US was established as a joint venture of Mitsubishi Electric and Trane Technologies. Mitsubishi Electric has been the market leader in the US HVAC ductless and VRF products for more than 40 years, and will continue to lead the market by bringing efficient and advanced products to the market. Next, page 18. Mitsubishi Electric Trane offers a wide variety of HVAC products for both residential and commercial markets. Our products are used in many applications such as single homes, low to high-rise apartments, restaurants, schools, hotels, and other kinds of buildings. All HVAC products are inverter-driven, which is very efficient to run and environmentally friendly. Our hyperheating products called H2I, which stands for Hyperheating Inverter System, are designed to provide comfortable indoor temperatures in extreme cold climate conditions as low as -13 Fahrenheit, while saving energy. We also have a variety of control solutions, one being Kumo Cloud, which is a Wi-Fi control for residential applications. Page 19, the traditional US HVAC residential products are called unitary and rooftops, which are central cooling and heating system using a duct to supply the air. Just for reference, traditional HVAC systems in the US comprise the majority of market's demands at 70%, and the ductless and VRF represents only 10% of total HVAC market demand in the US. However, the ductless and VRF market demand share was 5% 5 years ago, and the recent growth of ductless and VRF market demand is double the growth of unitary and rooftop traditional types. Mitsubishi Electric Zone Comfort Solutions provides zone-by-zone individual control, allowing you to control each zone in your home independently and even turn off zones that are not in use. Zone Comfort Solutions delivers superior personalized comfort, so the temperature is always just right. More than just comfort, our inverter-driven products can run up to 40% more efficiently than unitary air conditioners. In addition, our advanced Wi-Fi Kumo Cloud control system provides more convenience and visibility to efficiently run Mitsubishi Electric HVAC products. Therefore, ductless users can enjoy full benefit from the support of utility programs, rebates, and tax refund benefits. In addition, the new US policy for green energy will further support the use of our high-efficiency products. Page 20, Mitsubishi Electric Trane US CEO, Mr. Mark Kuntz strongly believes in leading by example when it comes to energy efficient and sustainability. After visiting the Mitsubishi Electric Smart House in Ofuna, Japan, he undertook a project to create a similar self-sufficient house near the Mitsubishi Electric Trane headquarters in Georgia. Constructed by a builder who specializes in net zero construction, the house incorporates 4 zones of mini-split air conditioning, including a prototype unit that heats and cools the living space while also heating water for domestic use. It includes a dedicated dehumidifier and energy recovery ventilator to keep the interior clean, dry, and comfortable while using the least amount of energy possible. The project is crowned with a 8 kilowatt solar array that produces 25% more electricity than the home can consume, even with the additional load of 2 electric vehicles. With the addition of a 10 kilowatt hour battery last year, the home is net zero on a real-time basis and as shown in the chart. In 2019, the home was awarded Grand Winner Zero Energy Ready Home of the Year by the United States Department of Energy. Page 21. Here in Georgia, Mitsubishi Electric supported the local community through approximately 40 volunteer projects in 2019. 170 employees volunteered to join the project for a total more than 1,050 volunteer hours. At the Mitsubishi Electric Classic Golf Tournament of the PGA Championship Tour, we held an event that gave Pro-Am players the opportunity to fill backpacks with food for kids and families in Atlanta who might not have food on the weekends. We are very proud to help and contribute to the local community, and we will continue to do so in the future. Last page, this brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope you have grasped Mitsubishi Electric's aim to realize sustainable society through our technology, and our HVAC operation in Georgia is the key to achieving the goals in the US. Thank you all for listening. It was a pleasure having this opportunity today. This time, I miss you, everyone in Georgia. However, Georgia is always on my mind, as my favorite song goes. I'll be back by next year. Thank you again.
Saito-san, thank you very, very much. So what an amazing presentation, very informative and so much great information. And I learned a lot just from listening to your presentation. Especially, I did not know that Mark's home was first net zero energy home in Georgia, or in the United States, or in Georgia. And that's amazing that he had an award. So congratulations, Mark. Anyone, he's actually, you can see his face over in one of the little windows there. Mark, can you wave? Just so everyone knows. So that's actually his house. So wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'm sure everyone has a lot of questions for Saito-san. So because today we have very limited time, if you can kindly put your questions in the Q&A box. There's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you can type in your question at the very end, we'll try to get as much questions as possible. But if you can kindly enter your question in that Q&A box. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Saito-san. Thank you.
Thank you so
next, thank you. So next we have a presentation from Remy Marnier Watanabe Sensei, and he's going to talk about the Japanese FDI and globalization. So Remy Sensei, please,
All right.
It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Nozomi-san. Well, I have to say, you know, the topic I'm discussing today is a perfect fit with the presentation we just heard, which really puts, you know, examples on something that is more academic in a sense. And I wanted to talk about the intersection of foreign direct investments and sustainability, because the two actually are not naturally fitting together. But we saw that Mitsubishi Electric stands to differ on that. We've already heard that, of course, Japanese FDI in the US is massive. And if we look at the past 10 years, they have doubled. So this is important. But why is it important when we think about sustainability, which I will define in a minute? Well, we see already the consequences, the positive effects that investments from abroad can have on a country, and in this case, on the United States. If you look at the top portion of the screen, you see that, well, it's supporting a lot of jobs. That means it's creating new jobs. There are investments in innovation, in R&D. We heard, for instance, that Mitsubishi Electric has an innovation center on the West Coast, and it can also lead to US exports. So beyond the numbers, you see how you can prime the pump for a number of positive benefits. So now when we think about sustainability, I'm just going back to a basic definition because it's not always clear what sustainability means. Here, you know, that simple definition tells us that it's, first of all, voluntary, right? When we think about corporate sustainability, we have in mind a glossy corporate report where companies try to put forward what they're doing on a voluntary basis to improve society. And here it's very often trying to contribute to inclusion of social and environmental concerns with a number of stakeholders. But actually, it's going to go further than this, as we will see. Now, and again, we've seen very well with Mitsubishi Electric how seriously they take their commitment. When we think about sustainability, really, it's about reaching the Sustainable Development Goals put forth by the United Nations in 2015. And you have these 17 goals on the screen right now, and any company, through its investments, can think where it would have the most impact. So we just heard that because of the nature of some of the products of Mitsubishi Electric, well, they could have massive positive effects on number 7, affordable and clean energy, because a lot of their products are able to save a lot of energy and waste. but it could also have some effects, for instance, on number 3, good health and well-being. How can you be productive? How can you lead healthy lives if you are in an environment that it's too hot, just like now in the US, or too cold sometimes in certain areas? So again, I'm just trying to recast what sustainability means here. It's trying to further the goals put forth by the United Nations. These 17 goals have been broken down into 169 targets. And from a Japanese perspective, actually, these have been embraced by the Japan Business Federation, of which Mitsubishi and Mitsubishi Electric are members. Keidanren is basically the voice of big business in Japan. So we see that there has been a commitment by large Japanese companies towards achieving these goals. Now, how can companies really think of their foreign direct investments and sustainability together? Is it more FDI, or what kind of FDI is necessary? And well, when we think about sustainability, we have to associate it with host country development. Host country is the country receiving the investment. How can this investment contribute to the development of that country? Social development, economic development, healthcare related development. And this is what makes FDI sustainable, if you can show that it actively contributes to the development of the country that receives said investment. Well, actually, receiving or host countries always evaluate the investments that they receive. Just to give you a couple of examples, there are country level tests. In Canada, they use something called net benefit test. They look at the effects that certain large scale or medium scale projects would have on employment, on exports, on productivity. In the United States, typically these large projects are evaluated against national security. And we've seen in the past few years, Huawei being shut out of a lot of markets because their investments in some of their products were considered to be threats, for instance, to national security, not only in the United States, but in the UK and other countries. Host governments also have or may have specific criteria when it comes to the environment or social impacts. But again, there are a number of criteria that they use. Now, just to be clear, foreign direct investments cannot be expected to contribute to all 17 goals, right? Companies are going concerns. We're talking about business, and it's primarily the responsibility of governments to help achieve or contribute to these sustainable development goals. But when we look at them more closely, these 17 goals, actually number 8, which is called decent work and economic growth, when we look back at the text of these goals, it says, promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. And actually, from what we've heard from Saito-san, I could trace directly some of Mitsubishi Electric's investments to goal number 8, or goal number 10, which is about reducing inequality within and among some countries. Now, we've been very abstract in a sense, and let me be more concrete about sustainable FDI. This is a very recent definition, which I think appeals to both academic and business people. And I've highlighted the fact that this type of investment, sustainable investment, should be, first of all, commercially viable. So it's an investment that's commercially viable, and that makes a contribution, again, to the development of host countries. And why does it have to be commercially viable? Because otherwise, there is no rationale to making these investments. They have to be good for the businesses that make them, and they have to be good for the countries that receive these investments. And well, how do you evaluate whether they are worth it? Well, it depends actually on, first of all, the development strategy and the level of development of the host country, the type of industry, and also the motivation of the investing firm. For instance, when we think about Mitsubishi Electric, when opening a new office in one US state or an innovation center, or partnering, for instance, with Train through a joint venture in Suwanee, Georgia, what is the purpose of that investment? Well, is it about gaining market share? Is it about accessing lower cost resources? So first of all, it has to be viable. Second, it has to consider the stakeholders at play. Not only, of course, society at large, not only employees, suppliers, customers, but also government-related stakeholders. I've listed a few here that research on sustainability typically recognizes. Of course, we have home country governments, we have industry associations, and I think today, we have the recognition of the National Association of Japan American Societies, we have JASC, we have Keizai Koho Center. All of these entities are stakeholders to these investments. Now, I just wanted to spend a few minutes on trying to make sense of these many criteria of what makes FDI sustainable. Here I'm showing you that, well, there are many ways in which foreign direct investments can be recognized as sustainable, whether it's from an economic perspective, when we think about creating employment, contributing to a local infrastructure development, or as we've just heard from Saito-san, when we think about the environmental dimension, the consequences it has, for instance, on renewable energy, on having a lower carbon footprint, which was a specific example we've heard in the previous presentation. The social dimension, labor rights, maybe helping the disabled, as we've seen that Mitsubishi Electric had been recognized, or helping reduce some inequalities when it comes to gender or indigenous rights. And the last dimension is about specific governance. Now, this can be overwhelming. Look, you have in front of you a bucket list of, well, dimensions that can make FDI sustainable. But actually, when we look at the latest research on the intersection of FDI and sustainability, we can actually make sense of and identify which dimensions are those that have the highest level of expectations. The authors of this paper have looked at 150 FDI instruments, and they've noticed that the ones highlighted in red are those that keep coming back. And this is important because that tells us, that puts the focus on societal expectations when it comes to foreign direct investments today towards sustainability. That means that any given firm which cares about whether its investments are sustainable should first look at its impact in terms of these highlighted dimensions. And I think, again, there's, I had not seen Mitsubishi Electric's presentation in advance before today, but I think that this is a great illustration. We've heard about low carbon or greenhouse gases footprint. We've heard also about non-discrimination. We've heard about human rights as well, when we think about giving access or providing opportunities to a wide range of people, whether they work directly for Mitsubishi Electric, or whether they are part of our broader communities. And we saw how Mitsubishi Electric engages with the community. It also has to do with stakeholder engagement. And again, we've seen that the company is present in a number of cities and areas throughout the United States. And I think we may be able to talk a little bit more about this during the Q&A if some of you are interested. I wanted to close, just to wrap up about the intersection of foreign direct investment and sustainability. So what we've seen today is that, first of all, it's a shared responsibility, but it's also in the interest of the international community, because as we know already, sustainability is to make sure that what we leave behind us is going to be at least as good as what we've enjoyed as a community, as business players. Second, we've clarified the definition of sustainable FDI. And if you were to remember anything, it's really about commercially viable investments first that needs to make a contribution to the sustainable development of host countries. So the two are not conflicting. The two can be achieved together. And last, I have tried to highlight some dimensions that should be prioritized when it comes to sustainability characteristics of FDI, specifically social and governance dimensions. Thank you.
Thank you, Remy Sensei. That was wonderful. Really, that you said it was, although you two did not share your presentations beforehand, it was beautifully integrated. Really, that intersectionality of the business and academic, and that was just perfect. So it was all meant to be. Thank you very much. So now we're going into the Q&A session. So if you, from the audience, if you do have a question, don't be shy. There's no good or bad questions here. We're all here to learn together. So please put your question in the Q&A box. You can put it in English, or if you feel more comfortable, for those who are joining in from Japan, feel free to put it in Japanese. We'll do our best to translate it into English. So, Saito-san, Remy Sensei, are you ready for Q&A? Yes? Okay, thank you. So let me actually start, since Remy Sensei, you just got off and your presentation is fresh in everyone's mind. Let me ask you the first question. I hope you're not tired of hearing about COVID, because I feel like we can't, it's one of the questions we can't avoid. So with the COVID-19 pandemic that has hugely impacted, basically everything around the world, there's no area that has not been touched. Do you see any impact, or how has it affected the economic development, FDA, and any global business strategies from your standpoint? What have you seen?
You. Yes, I think it's had an impact, especially on logistics and value chains, right? Because with globalization, we've seen that companies have been able and willing to invest far away from their home base to take advantage of whether it's a larger market, or being closer to customers, or a cheaper labor force. But we've seen that actually these value chains have been spread thin. And for instance, well, if you read the news, there's been a chip shortage, right? That's been affecting a number of industries. And my belief is that thinking about the impact of the disruptions on logistics and value chains, we may have companies rethink maybe their investments, and maybe have a regionalization of investments. Rather than think of the world as a playground, we may have some investments or value chains more tightly integrated within regions, so that they don't have to rely on parts that come from too far away. So in a way, it's almost like a business recovery plan, but that shrinks distances.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you very much. Saito-san.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Professor Remy-san said, yes,
yeah.
Supply chain is very important for manufacturing companies. And well, can I answer to your questions as well?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think
Please do.
yes, our mission as electronic company globally is that we have to contribute. Either we have profit or not, we have to contribute to this COVID-19 pandemic by our technologies or any kinds of things. Like we are now developing the touch panel that you have to, if you go to the lifts, lifts, and you have to push the button, but you don't want to push the button because of the COVID-19. So, for example, we have to, this is a must that we have to develop the aerial touch button that you do not have to touch the button, but it's in the air. So this kind of a must is for us, and we are now developing in our Silicon Valley office. And, you know, these kinds of things are social demands which we have to cope with. And of course, in the background, we have to have a long supply chain, so we have to organize and everything have to be defined. But I think, you know, the sustainability, the COVID-19, post-COVID-19 pandemic, I think we have to contribute. The contribution to the society, I think, is the best that we have to do. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So that's very fascinating how you mentioned about contribution to the society. Is that something, do you feel that your Mitsubishi Electric has recommitted because of the pandemic, or is that something that is new? Or
this society contribution to the society is our philosophy. But of course, I would like to emphasize that we have, for example, from my presentation, we have a philosophy of profitability, soundness, or growth as Mitsubishi Electric. But above all, there should be the contribution. Above all, there should be the sustainability. Above all, there should be SDGs. So I think, of course, we have to cope with everything. But in the minds of COVID-19, I think we have to put this contribution in the priority. That's my idea. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So on that note, for Mitsubishi Electric, what is the biggest challenge, knowing that you're such a global company, one of the biggest in the world, which makes it very complex? So what is the biggest challenge to implement sustainability strategies and achieving sustainability goals when it comes to global?
Yes, that's a good question. I think we are a very big company, as maybe in English, conglomerate. So we need to have a speed. And that's why we have a Silicon Valley office that we cope with the startup companies. They are sometimes small, they are sometimes, you know, but they're very quick. And if we don't have a speed as Mitsubishi Electric, we can offer the chance that startup companies can cope with. And well, this is a very good collaboration that Mitsubishi Electric can cope with all those startup companies in America. And I think that's the challenge for the time being. Thank you.
So yes, so keeping up with the speed, that's the biggest challenge. Is there a certain market, certain area in the world, going back to, because you're a global company, that you feel like it's the hardest to keep up with the speed, or is this more of a generic, just a global thing, a global challenge?
Your market, the American market, and our colleagues there are working for. You have such a diverse market, and everyone is working very hard, and you know, you are the leader of the global market. So I think there are lots of challenges, but at the same time we have lots of chances. So challenges and chances are always back to back, and I think that's the reason why we have the base in Georgia. That's as in your introduction in the beginning, you have very hot weather. And we started with the cooling, and now of course we are master of cooling and heating and everything. But I think that's the reason why we are in Georgia, and I think we have lots of challenges, but we have lots of chances for our HVAC business in America. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And just to add on to that, there's a Japanese word called crisis. The word kiki has both the crisis part an opportunity. So two Chinese characters together. So I think Saito-san, that is exactly what you're sharing with us. When there's challenges, always chances.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, wonderful. So Remy Sensei, so the question I have for you here is at the very end of your presentation, you mentioned the dimensions of sustainable FDI and the characteristics, which I thought was, I would have loved, really would love to hear more. But what really stood out for me is there was 3 categories. So environmental, social, and governance, which you mentioned have 50% of the sustainable, coverage.
On all the instruments.
Yes, which was very interesting. So there was nothing in the economic pillar. So why is that?
Well, it's because in the economic pillar, we expect by default that any investment will have a ripple effect on jobs. And when we think about the, again, sustainability means development of host countries. So it's a given, right? That any investment will create jobs. Either you set up a company from scratch and you will have to hire locally, or you acquire a local company and then hopefully you grow the business. So when we think about the long term, it really has to do with the repercussions on the social environment of the country. If the economic effect is expected, it has to be more than that, right? It has to go beyond just the viability of the investment itself. It has to contribute to just more than the economic part. You have a sharp eye, I can tell. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I was just curious, and thank you for that. That actually makes total sense. So it's a given. Obviously, that's why companies are in business. So, or that's why we invest. Wonderful. So on that note, so especially what has happened since what is happening in the U.S. Since last year with George Floyd's killing, there's so much around diversity, inclusion that and that will probably fall into the social pillar or the dimension. Do you think and I find working with Japanese companies, that's the area that Japanese companies are very not so sure about, meaning it's very foreign to a lot of Japanese companies. Do you think that's some area that as foreign investors that they need to be more aware of, or something special to the US or North America?
Well, you're making a very good point. Actually, since you mentioned George Floyd, I think companies, regardless of where they're from, need to localize their sustainability effort. That means, in this case, when a Japanese company makes an investment in the United States, they have to rethink what sustainability means for the country in which they are investing. For instance, the Black Lives Matter movement or the issue towards race in Japan is almost a non-issue because there's a lot less diversity. So for an American company coming to Japan would have to rethink what sustainability means, maybe around gender equality rather than racial equality. So I think the comment you're making is telling us that companies should localize their sustainability effort. And how do you do this? You can do this by empowering the local office, because the people in your local office have a lot more knowledge than the headquarters that are far away. Or you can also empower the expatriates who've been in the country for a long time. I mean, I'm sure Saito-san has spent many, many years abroad, and 9 years in the UK. He must have a very good understanding of what the sustainability expectations, all these burning social issues are for that particular location.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Saito-san, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Yes, I really do agree with the last part that Professor Remy-san said, that the local side knows everything, and I was very lucky that I was stationed in most of my career, and every time I found the difficulty, but I found a very good local idea, of course, with this SDGs, and of course sometimes the marketing, the needs, and everything. So what I'm saying as our marketing side is that, of course, we put the priority in SDGs. But when you are marketing in local, you have to always bring up your idea from the outside of Japan, not inside from Japan. So this is my theme now, that don't think in Japan, but you have to think everything outside Japan, the globally, and with SDGs. This is a very heart of the marketing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Saito-san. Thank you, Remi-sensei. This was amazing. I'm sure there's so many questions that people have inside that they just have not had the chance to ask you. But thank you again for your amazing presentations and for your time and energy to spend with us today. So we are at time. And so I want to thank the two speakers and also our amazing co-organizers, Yamakoshi-san from the Keizai Koho Center and his team. Thank you so much. And also Peter Kelly from the National Association of Japan American Societies and your team, Peter-san, thank you very much. And then the Georgia Tech Center for International Business Education and Research. Thank you for always being such a wonderful partner for us. And thank you everyone, especially Mitsubishi Electric Trane HVAC US. Thank you for hosting the two watch parties. It was wonderful to be here today at your office. And thank you everyone who joined in from all over the world. I saw people from Singapore, from Thailand, from Germany, from Japan. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please reach out to us at the Japan America Society of Georgia. We always love to hear from all of you. Thank you.